Let me wet my throat. Gotta wet my throat for this video. I'm gonna be talking a bunch. Whew. Welcome to another video of mine. This is actually a bit differently, and I don't really know how to do an introduction for this video. But I want to do a little bit something different for my channel today. And I want to go into a tier list maker. I haven't been recording videos for quite a while, and I want to come back and, not give one of those excuses with like, oh, life's been getting to me. I can't do this because I've been busy with that. I don't want to make any of those excuses. So what I want to do is I just want to come back and do a little bit something different as my first video back. And that being a tier list maker. And being the content that I make, I have a lot to do with the Soul series. That's a lot of my videos has to do with a lot of the Soul series. So I want to make a tier list. The most popular out of all the Soul series, and this is a biased opinion, is the Bloodborne. Is Bloodborne. That is the most popular out of them all. That could be debated. Let me know down in the comments if you're debated on if you like one better than the other, but I think this is probably the most likely the most favorite out of the entire thing. I know Elden Ring is out, and a lot of people that never even played Souls-like games hopped on Elden Ring and really enjoyed it. That was their introduction. But today, I'm gonna get down with a tier list maker. I'm gonna make a tier list of what I think out of the bosses that come out of Bloodborne, what tier I would place them in and why I would place them in that tier. And at the end of the video, it's liable to change. The placement of the bosses are very liable to change. And I want to reiterate myself here and say that this is definitely biased. It is opinion based, like all tier lists. I'm going to be judging this off of like impact. Mainly, that's the goal here. The impact of the boss is going to be the main goal that I'm going to go off of. But the difficulty and like lasting effect, I guess that would go with impact. Just the feel of the boss. How did I feel after I get done fighting that boss? How do I feel about the lore that the boss tied into? And stuff like that. And at the end of the video, tier list, if your favorite boss is not in a place, if you don't think the bosses should be in like the particular places that I put them in, let me know down in the comments. Tell me I'm dumb. I'm fine with it all. But we're going to start off with the very first boss ever that you fight in Bloodborne. Where's he at? The Cleric Beast. I am a fan of the Cleric Beast. Let me I got images pulled up here so that we can get a better view of the bosses. I think that's pretty cool. I'm a fan of the Cleric Beast. It's the first optional boss that you can run into. It's not the one that you have to run into, but a lot of the player base will tend to run into this boss, especially if they are struggling with the first main boss, which is Big Daddy G, and we'll get to him in a second, but we want to talk about the Cleric Beast, because he is really the first boss. He's the easiest boss to get to. You know, he's on the bridge area, which it comes back and ties around to the shortcut that you can get to him. He's super easy to get to. You don't have to walk a long way. And yeah, he's the first boss. He's a good introduction boss. Is he that hard? No, he's not that hard, which is good, being that he is optional. Let's just say this is your first time ever playing Bloodborne, ever playing a Souls game. You already know that the game is hard if you've been on the internet at all. Well, you know the game is hard unless you've only been around the people that are constantly saying, oh, it's not that hard for me. I beat it all the time. What do you mean you struggled with it? I never got hit. Never. I've always done a 0-hit run. But you get on the game, you're trying to piece the world together. You get beat up by the random, like, small enemies. And then you come to this guy, and you're walking on that bridge. And as you walk on that bridge, you hear that scream, or you're climbing up the ladder that introduces the game right before you reach your first lantern, or the second lantern, and you hear the scream, and that scream is the Cleric Beast. And as you wander around Yarnum, and you get up on top of the bridge, the stone bridge, and you're fighting your way. That was the first set of difficult enemies that are also the 2 wolves there. They're pretty difficult. And, you get past them, and you're walking up, and you notice that the bridge is ending there, but you want to get to the very end, because you see a couple items on the ground, and you just see this behemoth beast, pun intended, just jump over the wall, and boom, boss fight. You're in a boss fight. What are you going to do? Super, like, terrifying, intimidating if it's your first boss in, but I think it's a good introduction boss. And, what else do I want to say about the Cleric Beast? The design of he's really awesome. He ties into some pretty good lore. Now, I'm not... Let me mention this while I'm on this first boss here. I'm not going to go into too deep of the lore because Bloodborne lore can go on forever and ever. But this boss right here definitely ties into the lore and hint hint DLC lore. But yes, he's a good introduction boss. Very good mention. Gonna put him in A tier. I think he rightfully sits there. Now we're gonna move on to the first main boss, Big Daddy G. This is gonna be debatable. For sure this is gonna be debatable. Big Daddy G is in S tier? Yes. Let me skip back to the screen to make sure that you guys know that I want him in S tier. Big Daddy G is the perfect introduction to the game. I gotta find the words on Big Daddy G. I'm a huge fan. When I first played this game, and it was a 6 months period. I played the game, I got beat up by the game, and that was like a 6th to 7th month period where I didn't play the game at all. Then I just come back to it because I was bored one day. And I started playing this game, and my goal the entire time while playing was to beat Big Daddy G, because he locked me. He was the first boss that locked me. I'd beaten the Cleric Beast and made it to him, and I just could not. I would get to his wolf form, and he would just absolutely slaughter me. But that was before I knew a technique within the game that's not really implemented as well in the other Souls-like games, which is the parry button. You've got your gun, use it to parry. This boss right here basically says you either learn the mechanic that's super important within the game, or you're not going to get past me. Now, there are ways to get past this boss without never parrying and not having to learn it. You know, you could full force it, or you could just be that skilled at the game. But the main mechanic of this boss is to learn the parry system. And I think this boss teaches you perfectly how to do that. I could go on and on about this boss being the best introduction boss ever to be in any Souls-like games. They did a great job with his lore. How he's, he's Big Daddy to the little girl. You could do a little side quest for him. And not on top of that, they give you a little cheat system because they know his third phase is pretty difficult. They knew it would get some new players, but if you took the time to explore the world and do the little side quest before you got to him, they give you a little music box to cheat it, to make the third form of his get stunned. So they definitely knew. They cooked up a good idea with Big Daddy G, and I'm a huge fan of it. I'll stop talking about it now. We'll move on to the next boss. Now, how do I want to do this one? This one's kind of optional. I'll go with Vicar Amelia. We'll go with Vicar Amelia because I feel like a lot of people will say that they would rather fight Vicar Amelia first, then go to the Bloodstar Beast. But Vicar Amelia, oh, the second main boss in the game, you have to fight her. Would I consider her better than Big Daddy G or the Cleric Beast? She's better than the Cleric Beast. I almost want to move the Cleric Beast down. We'll move them after. We'll try to move them as we go through the video, and at the very end, I will try to put them in a place that's much better, because I feel like Vicar Amelia is on a different tier list than, you know what? Yeah, B. I'm already second guessing myself. Vicar Amelia is super good. Let's pull up the photo of Vicar Amelia. That is the Bloodstar Beast. Here we are. Vicar Amelia. Oh, the lore that Vicar Amelia ties into the game, that kind of pieces a lot together with the healing church. Perfect. You walk up into this boss room, and all you see is a woman laying down on the ground. You assume she's praying. She's got a pendant in her hand, and cutscene activates. she shoves the pendant down her throat, or she clutches it. I say that she shoves it. She's more like clutching the pendant. Obviously, she clutches it. I'm not. Obviously, she clutches it, and then she transforms into this behemoth. Isn't not only does she this boss fight, boom, right there, the lore. I'm already tied into it. The healing church and how the beasts are transformed and how all that kind of ties together. Lore wise, already good. Now, mechanics for this boss fight. Already, the size of the boss, the design of the boss, really cool. If you didn't know, Vicar Amelia's got bandages all around her because of what the healing church has done to her due to that. And if you hit certain parts of this boss, the boss will get stunned, which will allow you to hit a visceral attack. Which I go back to saying mechanics of the game is they designed this boss to be like just specific things will happen if you know what you're doing. And being the second boss in the game, I feel like she's pretty good in coming back to the big guys instead of going from Big Daddy G to her. She's parryable, kind of. I think she's parryable. She's stunnable. I don't know if she's parryable. Correct me if I'm wrong here. And there's some things you could just do with her. She always holds on to the pendant, and to tie in, she also heals. To say that she's also part of the healing church and stuff like that, I feel like my description of Vicar Amelia is not that good, but she definitely sits in A tier for a boss fight. She may be moved, but I can't put her below the cleric beast. We're not going to do that, that's for sure. Alright, moving on. What's the next? The Bloodstar beast. Yeah. No, the Bloodstar beast. Should I... I'm not the biggest fan of the Bloodstar beast. But I do... B. We're gonna go with B. We're gonna go with B for the Bloodstar beast. The Bloodstar beast is alright. And the Bloodstar beast would be better if they didn't bring this beast back into the game a little bit later, because this is in the DLC just as a regular enemy. So it's hard to look at this boss and go, oh, that was a good boss, when they just bring it back. So the game itself didn't really see this as a boss. The developers themselves, they was like, we'll introduce it to them, but are we going to consider this a boss? Not really. This would be a better boss to put in the game in a chalice dungeon, which the developers didn't do. It's alright to be sitting in Old Yarnum. It introduces you to the poison mechanic. Well, you already know about the poison mechanic as you enter Yarnum, because that's what that's based off of. But it's super important to know about it once you get to him. The boss fight is more annoying than it is fun, because you reach the third phase of the boss fight and the poison is spreading everywhere. You get poison, you have to use antidotes, you have to keep stabbing yourself, keep healing. Yeah, I would say this boss fight feels more like a chore. Then as you get stronger, it's not really that important. And it doesn't leave a lasting effect on you if you're a typical player. That being said, this boss right here, when I was playing the game, when I was getting first introduced to the game, was probably the most I've ever struggled with a boss before, ever in any Soul series. I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. I just could not parry this boss. This boss is parryable, so that knocks down on the difficulty. Yeah, we're gonna leave it at a good B tier. I could definitely keep going with this boss, but we're gonna leave it at a good B tier. It sits right there, very fine. We're gonna move on to the next boss. Who is next? Oh, the Witches of Hemwick. Whoa. I'm doing this in order, by the way, so I kind of forget the order. It gets a little hazy for me right here. The Witches of Hemwick. Can anybody argue with me? Anybody want to put up a good argument for the Witches of Hemwick? Put down in the comments why you think the Witches of Hemwick should be any higher than D tier. This boss fight right here, they are optional. But what is the point? You go into the arena. there's 3 Witches of Hemwick, right? There's 3. There might be 2. I don't know. This is how unforgettable this boss is. Pull up the image of these. Hey, this is what they look like. They've got eyes all around them. They go invisible, and they summon these little spawns into the game, into the arena. And you don't even have to fight the spawns. The spawns themselves are super strong, but you don't even have to fight them. You have to look for these witches, which you will be able to see them. Once you get close enough to them, you'll be able to hit them, and they'll reveal themselves and stuff. But, they're not that tanky. The most difficult part about this boss is killing both of them. You have to have both of them dead within at the same time, within the same time limit. Let's just say if you kill the one on the left here, you kill that one, and this one on the right here has like half of HP. If you don't kill this one with half HP before, like in 30 seconds or something, this one comes back to life at half HP, and you just have to repeat process until both of them are dead at once. It's an interesting little idea, but would I put it anything higher than D? No, because it doesn't leave a lasting effect. I don't think it ties into the lore that well. It's alright. Am I excited to play the game again and fight the Witches of Hemwick? Absolutely not. So definitely going to put it at a D tier, and we're going to move on. Who's next? I actually don't know who's next. Uh-oh. Oh! The first gank boss of the game, the Shadows of Yharnam. We're going to put Shadows of Yharnam at C. Once again, what knocks the Shadows of Yharnam down is the fact that the game itself doesn't really treat this as that much of a boss fight. I guess you would say gank boss fights in general in any of the Souls games are not really that super difficult. You just you gotta box out your enemies and then try to get one of them at a time. You pick which one is the most difficult or who you want to leave last or something like that. Now this fight, no, it's not. This is a mini boss type fight leading up to a major boss, but it is part of the boss ranking. I don't really have much to say about these guys. They're gank boss. That's all I can say. You've got a ranged guy right here in the middle. He's ranged. Always stays ranged. You know, kind of annoying to get to because of his fire stuff. But if you just dodge, and all these guys are parryable. Yeah, that's all I've really got to say about these guys. They're a good C tier boss. Nothing above that. A gank introduction. There may be another gank boss in the game. Who knows? You didn't know. If you don't know about the if you don't know the rest of the game, there could be another gank boss. And this is your introduction to it to try to learn how to box out your enemies and stuff. They are decently difficult. If I was basing this list off of difficulty, I would definitely put them at B. They would fit in B tier. But maybe A, because Vicar Amelia and them are kind of, if you don't really know about gank bosses, yeah. But we're going to move on to them. Alright. Here we are with Rom. Rom himself. How do we feel about Rom? Rom is a good boss fight. Lore-wise, Rom is probably the most important boss fight for the first introduction because he's the first, oh, what's the word for it? I can't think of the word. Oh, dang. Celestial, I think that's the word. Celestial, that's the word I'm looking for. He's the first boss that you fight that's not really a beast. We don't really know what the Shadows of Yharnam are. And we don't really, and the witches, I guess we could say they were more like beasts and stuff like that. They're not, but they're the first, they tie into the celestial stuff. But if you look back at these other bosses, Vicar Amelia, a beast. This guy, a beast. Bloodstar beast. Big Daddy G, a beast. And then the Cleric beast, a beast. Rom is a celestial being. You're getting introduced to like, oh, this game isn't about just, oh, the blood ties into the people trying to find better ways of healing. And, no, this is where the game is like, no, there's celestial beings in this game and you're going to have to fight them. And get ready for the absolute mind, let's try to keep it PG here, that you're about to receive, because the lore gets deep right here, if you want to look into it. But if you're not one to care about lords, the boss fight itself is a difficult boss fight. You go in there, Rom is just sitting there chilling. Doesn't even really want to fight you. Rom doesn't even fight you until you hit Rom. And then boom, boss fight starts, he drops the spiders down. The spiders themselves, they're not really that aggressive towards you unless you keep trying to hit Rom. And Rom himself is not really that aggressive until he gets low on HP. So yeah, you get the feel while fighting this boss that this boss doesn't really want to fight you, doesn't really see you as that big of a threat. But yeah, good A tier boss. Actually, I would put it above Vicar Amelia. I want to, maybe I'll come back and put this one at an S tier, but Big Daddy G is so perfect. Let's leave it right there for now. We're going to move on to the next one. The Dark Beast Pearl. The Dark Beast Pearl. Where do we want to put the Dark Beast Pearl at? Let's look at our other list. Yeah. Better than the Cleric Beast. Better than the Bloodstar Beast. Dark Beast Pearl. Another optional boss. Kind of difficult to find. Super intimidating for how the boss is huge and how fast the boss moves around the arena. Difficult? No, not at all. This boss is super stunnable, but it makes sense how they designed this boss because of how the boss is. It's got no bones. It's completely skeleton. And, you don't know this, but is there actually a version of the Dark Beast Pearl that has, meat, bones, skin, more than this? Is there a version out there? Do we know what that looks like? Or is there a theory on it? But yes, super intimidating boss and optional boss. I don't really know how much this ties into the lore of anything. I feel like there could be some interesting things about the Dark Beast Pearl, but that's all I've really got to say about the Dark Beast Pearl. Yeah, the B tier boss is kind of fun to fight. Difficulty is low. Intimidating. Love the look of the Dark Beast Pearl. But no, I would say but yeah, it's good. We're gonna put it there. We're gonna move on. We're gonna snap right through that one. Moving on to the next boss, which is the One Reborn. Another boss that is really heavy in lore. Where are you? Boom. Boom. I could put that one in A tier quick because of the heaviness in lore. Now let's discuss this one out because this one may change. The One Reborn was a boss that you've gotten introduced to celestial beings. I can't think of the word for it. It may be celestial, it may be another, but we're just gonna say gods. You've gotten introduced to a god, which is Rom, or celestial being. And now, humans themselves are like, you know what? I want to make a god too. I want to make a celestial being of a higher power. So, they put years and years and bodies and bodies and people and souls and all kinds of stuff and make this monstrosity. And as you're walking through that area, which I can't think of the name right now, no, I can't think of the name right now. But as you're walking through that area in the red moonlit skies, you walk up to this arena, as you can obviously tell it's about to be a boss fight. This is one of those arenas that you walk up to and you're like, oh shoot, here we go. We're already at a boss fight. And walk into it and this black hole appears and this thing comes out. This disgusting thing comes out. And you're like, what the heck? So intimidating. You just get this feel on you. You're like, ugh. How do I fight that? How am I supposed to deal with that? And on top of that, they've got these mages. That reminds me of the Tower Knight from Demon Souls. This boss is a lot like the Tower Knight from Demon Souls now that I think about it. You got these mages that sit up at the top of the arena that you have to walk upstairs and kind of hit them. You don't have to, but to help you with the boss fight, you can kill them, then come down and fight the one reborn. Which, he himself is slow, clunky, has a bit of a gimmick. He's got like a little thingy at the bottom here that you can kind of whack on. And once you whack on it enough, he'll get stunned and he'll fall over. And this is his main damage part, his head. His head, body, chest, arms, which these are arms and legs and stuff. But this right here, his main damage point. And once he gets stunned, the boss fight is not that difficult. But walking up to the boss and stunning him is the most difficult part because he's got some AoEs, he's got some interesting things within his boss fight, but definitely not that difficult, but he does leave a lasting effect, leaves a lot on with lore, the story tied in with him, definitely good A tier boss. Moving on to the next boss. I don't know why I just can't remember the order in my head. Oh yeah, Martyr Ligarius. The reason why is because there's optional bosses, and there's really no order you have to fight these guys in. But, yeah. Ooh, where do I want Martyr Ligarius? Okay. B. We're gonna put him... No, we're gonna put him A. Put him A. He's gonna get A tier. For sure. Because of the difficulty this guy can have. Depending on the type of player you are, is what kind of difficulty you'll have with this guy. He is intimidating. He does got that intimidating factor. He does leave a lasting effect on you because his entire area, there's no other boss in this area except him, and it's a pretty big area. It is a optional area, but you can go to this place and fight just him. And so yeah. And you're fighting on a roof. The stage is epic. It's pretty good. I really enjoyed this boss. I don't really know about the lore. It just could be ignorance, to be honest with you, because there's stuff that you can read while out this place, and it ties into blood. But I don't really know too much about this. I don't want to dive into it too much and then just get yelled at in the comments. But he's a good boss. I know he ties into the lore somewhere. He does leave a lasting effect. Like, he definitely does make you go, oh, shoot. Martyr Ligarius? That's a good boss. That's a pretty good boss. Now we're going to move on to the next one. We're going to put him in A tier, and we're going to move on to the next one, which is... Amygdala, or Amygdala, however you want to say it. The first one that you see of these guys, and he's not above around. Boom, he's going to sit right there. The Amygdala, the first one that you see of these guys that have been watching you the entire time. Ooh, did you have enough insight to know that? Did you have enough insight to know that these beings have been watching you the entire time? Oh, and it's your next celestial being boss. This boss is also optional. Completely optional. Good boss fight. When you fight these guys, I think it's around this time you're starting to get enough insight within your build to see that these guys have been staring at you, and watching you throughout the entire game. And, this one right here has just had enough of you and jumps down from this tower and starts throwing hands. Quite literally starts throwing hands, because when you get this boss half HP, he rips off his arms. Difficulty? Depending on what you know about this. If you're a beginner player and you don't really know what you're doing, this boss will give you some trouble. But once you're a veteran seasoned player like myself, you understand that its head is its weak point, and you understand if you stand at its tail, it'll jump. It'll jump and turn around. And if you charge and attack just perfectly, this boss just knocks out the difficulty. But in terms of lore, I'm actually wanting to knock this boss down. Because Marlogarius. Once I'm looking at the others, we'll come back. We'll come back to the end of it. But in terms of other things, doesn't tie in extremely well. Yes, it does, but it's it's an amygdala, and there's a bunch of amygdalas. What's so special about just this one? You know what I'm saying? You've got Rom, the vacuous spider. And then you've got amygdala. Yeah, which one? Which one? Is that Steve? Is that freaking Steve again? Steve the amygdala? Nah, you know it doesn't leave that. You're just like, oh, I'm fighting one of these. All right, let me get a drink in. Throat's getting dry. I haven't done a video in a while. Excuses, excuses. Ah. Yeah, but yeah, it doesn't leave a lasting effect. Now we're gonna move on to the next boss, the Celestial Ministries. I'm sorry if you're a big fan of these guys. They're better than the witches. They're better than the witches of Hemwick. They don't feel like a chore to fight, and the game didn't set this boss fight up to be like a major boss because these guys are like a boss that you fight right before you fight a major boss, but they are optional as well. So you don't. So if you don't know about this boss fight, you go into this boss fight and you see these little guys. These little guys is all you see. There's like 15 of them. Your goal is to find and keep hitting these little guys until you find this guy, which looks the exact same as these little guys here. And you hit them, and you notice that the boss's health is starting to go down. Once you find the one that you're supposed to hit, you're supposed to keep hitting that one until this one gets mad, and boom, just giant form. Giant form Piccolo. It's like something like that. And turns into a big guy, which works practically the exact same as these little guys. And you just keep hitting him. There's nothing really difficult about the boss fight. The enemies themselves are not that aggressive. They all get stunned if you hit them, so you can stun lock them. I think they are parryable. They do hit like trucks, though. They do hit really hard. No, they're not getting moved from D tier, though. No, they're not. They're just not. I'm not gonna do it. You get mad at me if you want. If that's your favorite boss in the game, wow. You think differently. You're on a different level. Could be a higher, could be a lower level. I don't know. I'm gonna go with higher level. Your vision is a lot higher than mine. If you see the Celestial Ministries are better than anything than D tier. All right, I think I know who's gonna be next. Let's confirm it to make sure I do this right. Okay, I did. Is she next? Okay, we're gonna do. I forgot I pulled that one up. We're gonna do Ebrietas next because Ebrietas is right after you fight the Celestial Ministries. Kind of really hidden boss fight because you have to break a window to get to the Ebrietas. I like this boss. This boss is really cool. The design of this boss, you could tell the developers put a lot of work into this. I know if you think about celestial beings, this is a good way to think about it right here. We don't really know what they look like, but we know that they sound creepy. And this right here, boom, creepy. Understanding of all of that. You break a window to enter this boss fight. You come down to this like poolish area. You have no idea what you're looking at. Ebrietas herself is like turned around. She's got like these tentacles, little weird looking things. The intimidation factor's there because she's huge. She's like an Amygdala though. Her weak point is her face, but the fact that she doesn't really get that stun, she is pretty difficult. And she does tie into the lore. I don't know if she ties in more than Rom though. Ooh, I feel like I'm gonna make some people mad by doing it like that. But I do think Rom ties in more. Mainly because he's not optional. We're gonna sit her right there, and we're gonna move on. We're gonna sit her right there, and we're gonna move on to the next guy. Where is this annoying little guy at? Oh, Mikolash. I don't want to put him. You're not better than the Shadows. Lore-wise, Mikolash is better than the Shadows because he super ties into it. Boss fight-wise, if we're talking strictly boss fight-wise, no. No, he is not. Yeah, he is, but he does leave a lasting impression. I mean, when you look at this face, tell me you won't remember this face. Yeah, you might be right. You're probably right in not remembering this face. You're probably right. You know what? No, he's better than Witches of Fenwick. We're going to put him in C tier, and we're going to move on from him. And we're going to get one more look at this face. And we're going to move right on. Oh, to the Murgos Wet Nurse. This is a good boss fight. Good boss fight. And this is one that I don't know. I don't have any clue of how this boss fight, like the lore on this boss fight, but the design of Murgo's Wet Nurse is always so cool to look at. I mean, when you think about her, you're like, what am I looking at? She's got these wings right here. They seem to be like crow wings. They seem to be like angel, but fallen angel wings. They have turned all black and kind of like decrepit. Looks like she's falling apart. Like, what is this necklace here? What is this hood? Why is this hood lifting up like this? What are you, Murgo's Wet Nurse? So there's a lot to look at with this boss, and the boss fight itself is really good. She's got these disappearing effects. She's got the scythes. She's got a lot of arms, a lot of scythes, a lot of stuff, and I'm sure she's got some stuff that ties into it lore-wise as well. But I don't really know that much, and I'm a Bloodborne lover. I love Bloodborne, but I don't really know that much about her. But she did leave a lasting effect, and I would consider her better than all of these. And she's the next. She's right. She's the last boss right before you reach the last boss of the game. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna put her right there behind Rom because Rom is. Let's just be honest. Rom is much better at like introducing an explanation of what Rom is. We're gonna move on to the last boss of the game. The last boss of the main game. Gadaman. The guy who's been there with you the entire time. You know about Gadaman. He's been in the Hunter's Dream with you throughout the entire game. He's been explaining to you what is happening, what's going on, and stuff like that. And he knows that inevitably, in order to keep his cycle, his story going, he will eventually have to fight you. And yeah, the story wise, this ties in so well. His design is so cool. Who would know it out of fighting all these big, huge bosses? That face again. These huge bosses. This guy right here. Where's another one? The Dark Beast Paul. A celestial being. We're going to skip past them. Vicar Amelia. Big Daddy G in his third form. Just all these gigantic bosses. Who would be able to guess that the final boss would just be a regular hunter like yourself? Wow, right? The most dangerous thing out there is another hunter, just like yourself. And boom, with that right there, not much of an explanation needed after that. Gadaman is S tier. He's at the top of this list. He's a great final boss. It's funny how I got the first main boss and the final boss being the top S tiers. Funny how that works, huh? But we're not done there. We're not gonna be done there. We move on to the secret final boss that you fight within the game. And this one's gonna make a lot of people mad. Yep. Listen. This boss, design-wise, is really cool. But this boss is a secret boss This boss could have been a lot more difficult if it just didn't have one effect, one singular effect. That effect being, it's got a chance of doing an AoE, launching a huge red AoE throughout the entire arena, and that will put you at one hit. Which in any other Dark Souls game, this would be terrifying. You're at one hit, you have to heal. But, you're playing Bloodborne. Bloodborne works off the mechanic. If you keep hitting, you can get health back up. And, and, this boss is stunned for like an entire 5 seconds after doing this AoE. So it's not scary at all. So it's a super letdown in terms of boss fight. Lore wise, it is good. I mean, the story, it does tie in well. Um, but it's a super letdown for it not being a final boss. Getamin is harder, and Getamin shouldn't be harder than a secret boss. The Moon Presence is a secret boss. It should not be harder. Getamin should not be harder than this. This boss fight should have been extremely difficult, but it is not. So we're going to put it at the top of B tier list. It gets knocked down a lot because it doesn't leave it nowhere near as a lasting effect as these guys did. And just because it's the final boss, it's not just gonna be up there. Getamin definitely better. All right, now did I go into the DLC first or did I go into the Chalice dungeon? I might want to go into the Chalice dungeon. No, we'll do Chalice dungeon last because nobody really cares about the Chalice dungeons. We're gonna start off with the first DLC boss of the game. And they hit with a banger. They hit a banger. Banger. The DLC in Bloodborne is so good. It's so good. You enter the DLC. Let's just say you've been playing the game for quite a while. You played it before the DLC comes out, and they introduce the DLC, and you hop into the DLC, and you come up to the first boss, and that first boss is Ludwig. Oh, oh, oh! This boss is so good. Difficulty wise, out this world. This boss right here makes all the main game bosses, the base game bosses, look so weak. This boss is so cool. Lore wise is so awesome. Design wise is so awesome. Grotesque wise is so awesome. What the is this? It's so awesome. The arena that no, do I need to say more? Do I need to say more? The- and on top of that, the weapon that you get from this boss fight, so cool. Got me salivating over here. This boss fight hits so good. So definitely S tier. S tier boss fight. All right, who's next? Oh, oh. Oh. Yeah, that's right. The DLC starts off with a banger like Ludwig. And then we come to the C tier, Living Failures. This doesn't feel like a boss fight. What are they thinking? The way I think of development teams is they got like Team A, Team B, and Team C. And whatever team cooked this up, Team C, call them Team L. Team L. This boss fight, what is this? You could have made these guys regular enemies. The most difficult part of this boss fight, and they only do it one way, is they'll start raising their hands up in the air, and this beam of arcane magic starts shooting down from the sky, which does a ton of damage. Most likely is going to one-shot you. But that's the most difficult part about this boss. Other than that, they kind of lays around. They got these long arms that they kind of swing here and there. But no, you're a C tier boss fight. You're above all these just because of how hard you hit. But yeah, C tier. C tier. Starting to rethink Bloodstar Beast. Starting to rethink Bloodstar Beast. I want to put him lower than the Living Failures. All right, moving on because oh, oh yeah, oh yeah. I don't even know how to think about this. You come up to Lady Maria. Okay, we're gonna put you there because Ludwig's so cool, but Lady Maria is so cool. If I could put, if I can make another tier, should I make another tier? Can I do that real quick? Um, add a row above. Yeah, let's make another tier because these actually sit in the same tier here. Bow, boom. I don't know. I could actually go either way here. Ludwig above Lady Maria, or Lady Maria above Ludwig. We're gonna put her above, but I could go either way. Honestly, she's so freaking cool. You don't understand if this is the doll. You don't understand. You don't know as you walk up to this boss fight what this lady is. You just know you've seen art of her. You know this outfit. You know it very well. You don't know this weapon. She's got this cool flame weapon that works off of blood flame magic. Super cool boss fight. S plus tier, no debate. I'm not taking anything. Call me dumb in the comments, and you're wrong. You're wrong. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And then Bloodborne don't stop cooking there, but this one's obvious for me. It's lower than those two. But lore wise, I'm sure people are able to argue that he's higher, but nah, he doesn't leave that much. The Bloodborne doesn't stop cooking there. This is an optional fight within the DLC, by the way, is Lawrence himself. This boss fight. Oh, by the way, let's go back to these two right here. Both of them leave an extremely lasting effect on you, just from difficulty alone and looks. Design wise, looks, arena wise, weapon wise, everything leaves a lasting effect on you. You walk up to this guy and you think, oh, this is something that you can walk up to in the DLC, and it's just laying there like this, and you don't have to fight it. You can walk into his arena and he won't fight you. You have to do specific things, grab his skull and stuff like that, and put it on a certain altar, and then this boss will fight you. Uh, it's not that much different design wise from the cleric beast itself, which is pretty interesting because this guy right here could actually be your final boss that you fight within the DLC. So I do like how they tied that in. I know a lot of people say it's kind of lazy how they use the cleric beast design again, but I actually am a fan of it. So I actually would argue putting that nest here because of that as well. But that's not the only reason why it will sit in S plus tier for me. Because of the lore itself, it will sit there. And also the difficulty of the boss fight, gonna hit there. It leaves a lasting effect because of that. Design wise, gonna hit there. Arena wise, it's gonna hit there. And the fact that you can see this boss throughout the entire DLC just chilling there. And yeah, I like this boss fight. It's got like the little half effect, the lava coming out of this. But yeah, yeah. I wouldn't consider it better than these two, but definitely extremely good. Now we move on to the final boss of the DLC. Yeah. Ooh. Here these three right here, I could definitely put in the same exact tier and like argue that neither is better than the other because they're all bangers. Absolute bangers. The Orphan of Cause, Lady Maria, not you, and Ludwig, absolute bangers for bosses. This boss right here is so cool. A newborn of a dead mother. This right here is a celestial being right here. Being an orphan is pancreas type thing. This is design wise, banger. Lore wise, banger. Boss fight wise, banger. Good choice for a final DLC boss, banger. Arena, banger. Uh, Screams, banger. Should I say more? S tier, obviously. We're gonna say S tier, obviously, and move on because I feel like this video is getting pretty long. we're gonna go into the Chalice Dungeon bosses, which this is going to piss some people off because I am not a fan of the Chalice Dungeon, and these bosses, not a fan of either. The Beast Demon. You see this guy in the base game, and he looks pretty cool in the base game. And then you see him and you fight him base game, and he's not that difficult. Then he becomes a boss within the Chalice Dungeon, and he's not that difficult. Is he kind of cool to look at? Yeah. Other than that, he's not that cool. Honestly, I kind of want to put Mikolash up here because Mikolash ties into a bunch of lore. Moving on to the next one. Oh, these guys. Oh, these guys. Oh, yeah. Okay. Probably the worst of them all. Yeah, it's just the worst of them all. There's another gank boss. They're like the Shadows of Yarnum. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah, they're like the Shadows of Yarnum, but they're not that cool. They're not cool at all. They're super parryable. Who remembers these guys? Who? When you think of Bloodborne, do you think of the Beast Demon Beast or the what do they call him? What is his name again? Do you think of the Beast Possessed Soul? Do you think of the Merciless Watchers? Do you? Do you think of them too? No, 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 no. You do not. Honestly, you don't think of these guys. They're not good at all. Not good at all. They're not fun to fight. Nothing like that. You don't even really consider them a boss fight. Oh, this guy right here, the Undead Giant. Now, there's multiple versions of the Undead Giant. Mm. Yeah, there's multiple versions of the Undead Giant that you fight without throughout the Chalice dungeons. There's this one. There's like chains on his back. Can't really tell what that's in his arm. It's a harpoon, I think. There's one that's got like a ball and chain that swings. No, this one might be it. So these chains sling around. Makes it sort of difficult, but not really. Design wise, is the only reason why it's going to be put in B tier. Design wise. Boss fight wise, nah, you could probably fight one of these guys early in the base game and just as a regular enemy and they would still leave the same impression. So yeah, they're gonna sit right there. They're gonna happily sit right there. And we're gonna move on to the next one, which is the Keeper of the Old Lords. Better than the Cleric Beast, probably better than the Dark Beast Paul. Moon Presence, no. It's a hunter like yourself. I know some people are kind of obsessed with the Keeper of the Old Lords because of they look cool. I'm sure they got some lore behind them, but when I think of Bloodborne, I don't think, oh, that Chalice Dungeon boss, the Keeper of the Old Lords. Remember that? No, we're sitting in a B tier. We're moving straight on. We're not giving these Chalice Dungeon bosses a lot of thought. The Pythagorean Descendant, another boss that had a lot of potential, but just didn't leave that effect that you would consider on it. Kind of difficult, fast, and yeah, definitely B, definitely B. Okay. Here's one that we're actually gonna sort of cook on. Oh, wrong thing. We're gonna cook. Oh, did I not get? Oh, I didn't get a picture. Oh no, I don't have an image. And this is one that deserves an image because this one actually leaves kind of a lasting impression on. We're actually going to put you at the very end of A tier, put you at B tier. Let's actually the Watchdog of the Old Lords. Now this boss looks so cool, and it is actually pretty difficult when in the Chalice dungeon. Uh, but there's not a lot that capitalizes on the lore wise. And this boss does leave a lasting impression on you because this boss is part of a chalice dungeon that basically halves your HP, makes you super one-shottable, and this guy definitely hits really hard. So definitely gonna hit that B tier. We're not gonna give him too much time because he's a chalice dungeon boss, and chalice dungeons are the worst things in Bloodborne. And we move on to the final boss of the chalice dungeons, which is simply the Pythagorean Queen. The same queen that you see outside of Mogro's Wet Nurse's arena. She works with blood magic. I don't want to put her above the Watchdogs of the Old Lords. She doesn't capitalize on the lasting effect. When you think about the Prithomarian Queen, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but when you think about her, you don't think, oh, um, the the Queen. She was so cool, wasn't she? All you think about was, oh, she was the last boss of the Chalice Dungeon. That's all. That's all that she was just the last boss. Oh, did you beat that last boss? Oh, the last boss, the Queen? Yeah, I beat her. Was she difficult? No, not really. She can be, but not. She doesn't really leave that much of an impression. If you're going to fight any of the Chalice Dungeon bosses, most likely you're only doing it because of you want to 100% the game. But yeah, that's where I want to leave them. I think let me take a good look over Orphan of Cause. All the DLC bosses are on a different level. Gadaman and Big Daddy G. Father Gascoigne. Hey, nah, that's Big Daddy G. Right there. These tie in pretty well. They're all A tier. B tier. Let me get a good long look at these B tier. Because the ones that are lower is gonna piss people off. The ones that are higher, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, we're fine with that. Maybe Big Daddy G people aren't gonna be as high on as I was, but I want to reiterate here that think about it in terms of like a first boss. When you think about it in terms of first boss, Big Daddy G is perfect development wise. Like deciding if any of these bosses should be the first main boss, Big Daddy G was perfect for it. Yeah, that's a good place to put everybody. These guys suck. Nobody likes fighting these. As a matter of fact, living failures could sit there as well, but we're gonna keep them there because I consider them better than these. But you know what? Actually, yeah. Actually, yeah. You know what? Yeah. You're at the top of this, though. Actually, yeah. Now we're happy with this. The moon presence one might make people pretty mad, but they should have did better in terms of difficulty on this boss fight. But yeah, that's a good place to sit everything. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I'm actually super interested if people kind of agree with this or not. I don't get a lot of opinions on Bloodborne stuff, and this being a tier list, a lot of people love tier list. You guys most likely have a different opinion. All tier lists have different opinions. Don't get too mad at me. This is all biased, and biased means it's opinion based, and this is my opinion. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and glad to be back and making more videos. I hope that I get some more videos uploaded and put time aside and stuff. And you guys know how I like to say little things at the very end of my videos. Yes, I have been wanting to make videos lately. But been wanting to make videos for a while. I just haven't really found the time and the energy to put into the videos like I like to put into them. I like when I make a video, I want to put energy into it. I want it to be something that I can put out and people like, and I feel satisfied with how it turns out. And there's a chance that I'm making this one right here, and as I'm editing through it, that I don't enjoy it, or the audio's a bit off, or something like that. But we're gonna rock with this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave some comments down and tell me what you think about the tier list. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.